Hello everyone, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you a head-to-head comparison of the two top AI models, ChatGPT 4.0 and Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So the first category we're going to be looking at is writing, and under writing I'm going to be exploring three different types of writing: blog writing, academic writing, and creative writing. So let's start off with blog writing, and I'm going to add a prompt here in both that says write a 500-word blog post on technological trends to watch out for in 2024. I'm going to add that in Claude as well. And then I'm going to enter that. Okay, and let's look at comparing the outputs. So if we start from the beginning, just as a general title, what technological trends to watch out for in 2024, it's just literally taken my prompt and transformed that into a title. And here in Claude, again, top tech trends to watch in 2024. So very basic titles for both. We also get very similar introductions as we progress through 2024. Technological landscape continues to evolve at a rapid pace, and then bringing new trends that promise to shape the future. And here, Claude, as we venture further into the 2020s, the pace of technological innovation shows no signs of slowing down. In fact, 2024 is shaping up to be a pivotal year for several emerging technologies. I do like the way that Claude has written that introduction, apart from the first part. So now let's look at the actual content. We have been given here about 8 different trends, and with Claude it's exactly the same, 8 different trends as well. So if we look further, artificial intelligence, we've got quantum computing. Now, metaverse expansion, I'd be a bit reluctant to speak about that. Is it really progressing? There's a lot of talk about it's just died down. 5G and beyond, sustainable technology, biotechnology, cybersecurity innovations. Now let's look at Claude's output. We've got artificial intelligence, we've got extended reality, quantum computing, sustainable tech, 5G and 6G networks expand, blockchain, robotics, biotechnology. So let's take a section that they both include in their output and let's compare the writing style. So 5G and beyond, for example, 5G technology is already transforming the way we connect, but the rollout and enhancement of 5G networks will continue to be a major trend in 2024. With faster speeds and lower latency, 5G will enable more robust Internet of Things applications, from smart cities to autonomous vehicles. Moreover, research into 6G technology is underway, promising even more revolutionary advancements in connectivity. Now let's compare the similar one in Claude. 5G and 6G networks expand. The rollout of 5G networks will continue to accelerate in 2024, enabling new possibilities in areas like autonomous vehicles, smart cities, and industrial Internet of Things. At the same time, research into 6G technologies will ramp up, with early discussions about the potential capabilities of next generation wireless networks. They're both talking about roughly the same thing, and even the examples are almost the same: like autonomous vehicles, smart cities, and Internet of Things. So in terms of writing, conciseness, and quality, I would be more inclined to use Claude for. So you can see they're both very similar, both in terms of the style of writing and the output. I would say that Claude's using trends that are probably overall more relevant. As we said with ChatGPT, there's only just one that I'd be a bit reluctant to use with this blog post. But again, like I said, they're very similar in terms of their output. Using either one would probably give you similar quality. Okay, so the next category I'm going to be looking at is academic writing. And I'm going to add a prompt here that says, write 2 paragraphs, a total of 300 words, on the challenges of graduate employability using an academic tone, include accurate references. And I'm going to be evaluating both in terms of a number of criteria. So criteria in this case is going to be the quality of writing, the academic tone, the accuracy of the references that it comes back with, and the quality of references, whether it uses influential references or not. So let's see what ChatGPT has done with this initial paragraph. So first sentence is straightforward. It outlines the main issue, and then it talks about the misalignment of skills, which is one of the key problems that we are facing in graduate employability. It uses a very strong reference, which is Tomlinson 2017, to talk about the lack of practical experience and soft skills, and it identifies what this lack is, and then it tells us what the gap is due to, and it cites another influential reference, which is York 2006, and then concludes the paragraph with of this graduate employability challenge, which is securing employment. Now let's compare the first paragraph that we have obtained from Claude. Now, the first sentence says graduate employability has emerged as a critical concern in contemporary higher education, with institutions increasingly scrutinized for their ability to produce workforce-ready graduates. And again, it's cited Tomlinson 2012. So let's start off with generally how it's introduced the first sentence. Notice that they're both almost exactly the same in their actual beginning. So graduate employability has emerged as a critical concern. We've got graduate employability has emerged as a critical concern. And this is just a note that we really have to look at how we're using AI, because you will see the output that is generated from a lot of generative AI tools might be almost identical. Always make sure that you input your own ideas as well. With institutions increasingly scrutinized for ability to produce workforce-ready graduates. And I like what Claude has done here. It's given us the critical concern, okay, and rather than just starting off with the factors that are influencing the landscape, it's gone directly to the point of saying why this is a critical concern and focusing specifically on the higher education institutions that are incapable of producing those graduates. And it tells us that the challenges associated with this are multifaceted, and it talks about structural and individual factors. And then it goes on to the macro level, the rapidly evolving global economy characterized by technological advancements. And then it uses Jackson 2016, another excellent reference. And this disconnect is further exacerbated by the increasing competition for jobs. It starts the next paragraph. It talks about the individual level, and it talks about how graduates are struggling. Basically, they've both come back with the essence of the argument, which is the soft skill argument, the problem with the graduates face, and the problem resulting from the advancement in technology, and this resulting in universities having to change their curricula. Now, the way it's structured is a little different. And I think Claude has actually done a better job with this in terms of structuring and organization. So what we'll see is that it's organized the problem in the first paragraph in terms of the challenges that are faced, the macro level problems that are coming from technology, whereas you can see that ChatGPT has chosen to add that as a point later on in the second paragraph. And what it's done is that it's integrated this issue that's arising from technology with the challenges that graduates face, and issuing that problem statement here at the beginning of the first paragraph. ChatGPT has done exactly the same as well. It says graduates face difficulty securing employment. But I think the way that Claude has come back with the output is a lot more intelligent in its writing. It's the quality of the academic writing is definitely at a higher level. And the structuring of the overall argument and prioritizing different elements really does come across better in Claude's writing. And you can see there are elements of very critical writing and building on the arguments as well. So if I only had to use one, I'd probably go with Claude. I like the organization structuring of the arguments that it's put together. I like the quality of the academic language that it's come back with, and references are a bit higher quality in Claude. So for our third writing comparison, we're going to be looking at creative writing. And I've added a prompt here that says, the world has ended. Survivors must navigate the aftermath, facing numerous challenges and dangers. They seek safety and a new beginning in a shattered world. Come up with a creative story based on this. Make it 500 to 1,000 words. And that same prompt has been added to both. We'll start off by reading the first paragraph of each one. The world ended on a quiet Sunday morning. No one saw it coming, not the scientists, not the governments, not the everyday people who went about their lives with a casual confidence that tomorrow would come just like today. So I think already we can see that with ChatGPT, this is not the kind of creative writing that we'd be happy go with. It's very mechanical, very basic, but tomorrow never came. Instead, the skies turned dark, the earth quaked, and the cities crumbled into dust. The apocalypse was swift and merciless. Okay, not a good start for ChatGPT 4.0. Let's look at Claude. So we have a title to the short story that we've asked it to write, The Last Horizon. The world ended not with a bang, but with a series of whimpers. Climate change, resource wars, and a final devastating pandemic had left the planet a shadow of its former self. Mira trudged through the ruins of what was once a thriving metropolis, her boots crunching on broken glass and debris. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional gust of wind whistling through abandoned skyscrapers. Okay, already I'm sure you can see the difference. The writing is more natural, it's more fluid. We've got the introduction of a character straight away in the first paragraph. And we've got a use of much more poetic, descriptive language. And just by reading that first paragraph, I would say Claude Sonnet 100% for me in this story. So I've just read through the entire story from both ChatGPT 4.0 and Claude Sonnet, and there's just absolutely no question about which one wins in this category, and that this is definitely Claude Sonnet. And just a few things to point out in written response that's come from both. We'll see with ChatGPT 4.0 that the way it's presented the output is extremely basic. So, for example, if I show you here the introduction of the different characters, you can see basic sentences. Ilara had always been resourceful. Her father had taught her to hunt and fish. And then it talks about Marcus. There was Marcus, a former firefighter with a strong sense of duty. Lena, a nurse who had seen more death than life in the past weeks, and so on. Even the way that characters are introduced is very basic. The introduction of the paragraphs is very basic. So, for example, it says here, one day, and it just reminds you of second grade, third grade writing, and it does that quite often. So we've got here one night as well. Whereas if we compare that with how Claude comes up with paragraph introductions, for example, you can see things like heart pounding. She weaved through the labyrinth of ruins. So in terms of style, language, sentence structure, Claude is definitely the winner in this category. So our next category of comparison is going to be looking at the number of files that ChatGPT 4.0 and Sonnet can upload. So I have here a folder that has over 15 different files. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to initially try and upload them all into ChatGPT to see whether it will be able to attach them. And you can see here already that it says you may only upload 10 files at a time. So in order to test that as well, I'm just going to choose 10 top files. Okay, and you can see that it's now uploaded the 10 different files that I have, and it can use them for analysis. Now, I'm going to do the same with Claude. So I'm going to start off by trying to attach all the files that I have in this folder. And again, you can see a message that says you can add at most 5 attachments to a chat. Please select fewer attachments. So we can clearly see that in terms of uploading, we can only upload 5 documents into Claude Sonnet here. And if I upload these, okay, and you can see it's now uploaded 5 different documents that I can use for my analysis. So the clear winner in this category would definitely be ChatGPT 4.0, which just allows you to upload double the amount that you get with Claude. The next category we're going to be looking at is synthesizing and extracting information from key documents. And as we saw with the previous category, we can only upload 5 documents in Claude. And so in order to make this a fair comparison, what we're going to do is we're going to upload 5 documents to each of ChatGPT 4.0 and to Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And then we're going to ask the same prompt to see what it does with extracting information and synthesizing it. So I'm going to start off here by adding these 5 documents to both. And I'm also going to add a prompt here that says, use all the attached files to write a literature review made up of 5 paragraphs on graduate employability. Ensure the writing uses academic tone, synthesizes the information, and uses critical writing. Add the relevant references. And by the way, you can use this for not just academic papers, but for any reports, documents, work documents. So I'm going to enter this for both. Let's start off with the output that ChatGPT 4.0 has produced. You can see that it's given us titles for the different elements that it's come up with. And we noticed quite a number of things. Now, first thing, it hasn't formatted the references accurately. It's just given me the titles of the PDFs. The other thing that I noticed here is that it's actually not synthesized the information. What it's done is that it's taken each paper separately and then written an overview of that paper try to extract the information from it. But you can see, for example, that here it focuses on the information from Clark's paper. Here it focuses on the information from Tomlinson and Jackson's paper. Here it's focusing on Holmes' paper, and so on. Each one is addressed separately, and we don't have that overall integration of the papers. The other thing that I notice about how ChatGPT has approached this is that most of the writing is very top level. It does address the main points, but it's not gotten into a detailed, in-depth analysis. The critical elements are quite superficial. For example, it would give you the processual approach, talks about it, and then it says this perspective emphasizes the importance of continuous personal and professional development, and then this approach aligns with the concept of lifelong learning. Okay, where's the analysis? Where's the critiques of it? Where's the connections that it's made with other parts? We don't get this with the ChatGPT 4.0 synthesis. Okay, so looking at Claude's output, we notice that it starts off with a general overview of all the elements in the paper, trying to come up with a general statement. Like I mentioned in one of the previous responses, you'll notice that the introductions are very similar as well. Graduate employability has become a major focus for higher education institutions. And in ChatGPT, we had graduate employability has become a crucial focus in higher education. So again, you can see how they process things in a similar way. Now, where Claude actually differs, you will see that it's been very intelligent in the way it's processed information. Now, it comes up with the first approach of employability and gives us the definition that was suggested by Holmes. And then not only that, what it does here, so we've got the Holmes paper here, but what it does is then integrates other frameworks from other papers like Timon's paper, and it adds that as a supporting evidence to that. And then it brings us some critical analysis by showing how critics have argued against this, and then it uses a combination of other papers, and it continues on. So in the next paragraph, you can see then it links to the first paragraph and says an alternative positional perspective views employability through the lens of social and cultural capital. So connecting with that first paragraph, and then again provides critical elements, and it does this throughout the output that it has presented. And it also gives us the references of the papers that we have included, and you will notice it's provided us with even more references. So we attached 5 papers, but now it's not only given us the references of the actual papers that I attached, but also it's extracted information from within the papers, and it's included these as references as well, whereas I didn't get any reference with ChatGPT. Now, before I finish this section, I want to show you how the difference in the connections and the flow from Claude, and compare that with ChatGPT. So, for example, this first section talking about the evolving concept of employability, and then it tells us that individuals must continually update their skills to remain employable. Now, we're moving on to the next section. You'd assume there'd be some kind of link or connection between them, but no, it's like a complete standalone section, and it doesn't have that flow that we got from Claude. So in terms of synthesizing and extracting information, then I would definitely say I would go with Claude Sonnet for this category. And so for the next category, we're going to be looking at summarizing just one document. So to start off with, I'm going to attach the same document in each of ChatGPT 4 and Claude, and I'm going to add a prompt that says, summarize the attached document. You can see that initially it gives us the authors, it gives us background information about the report, and then it starts off with the key points. It's very clear in its categories. So it highlights what the category is and then gives us some points within each one. And then it does the same for quite a number of areas. And then you can see that it also adds a section on implications at the end, and then gives us a full conclusion of the report. Now, if we look at the output from Claude, you can see that it's also given us some interesting information. However, if you don't have a strong background of the report and you haven't actually read the entire thing, you might find it a bit difficult to understand key points that have been summarized from the report. So if we start looking at the first point, for example, we've got labor market challenges. Europe and the United States face labor shortages and slowing productivity growth. By 2030, up to 30% of the current work hours could be automated, driven by AI and generative AI, and shifts in labor demand will require significant occupational transitions. And then Europe needing up to 12 million transitions, and US 12 million by 2030. Now let's see what Claude has come up with. It says the report analyzes how AI, automation, and other trends will impact labor markets in Europe and US by 2030. By 2030, up to 30% of current work hours could be automated, accelerated by generative AI. This could require 12 million occupational transitions in both Europe and the US by 2030. So you can see that there are definitely similarities between both. I like the way that ChatGPT 4.0 has broken it down into different points and given the section a heading. It's a lot easier to follow. So you can see here we've got the same data, but the way it's organized in ChatGPT 4 is a lot stronger. It's a lot clearer. It highlights the points a lot better. And then you can see the next section is skills demand. And so again, we're given the overall point and then some information about that point. Claude has given us that same point, but because it's not structured the same way it is in ChatGPT 4, you're not really visualizing the whole content of the report. So in my view, I would say that definitely if I want a summary of a full report and I want to understand the different sections and element, I would be going for ChatGPT 4.0. So for the next category, we're going to be looking at brainstorming ideas. And under brainstorming, I'm going to be looking at creative ideas for slogans and business names. In the first category, brainstorming, let's say business ideas, I'm going to add a prompt here that says, brainstorm 5 business names for a new social platform that is similar to Twitter and Threads, or X and Threads. So I'm just going to add that in. I think either one has done a fantastic job with this and probably have to regenerate multiple times to get the output that I want. But if I just had to base it on the initial output that we see here, you can see that Claude has done a better job. It's taken the essence of the concept and come up with a word that might work. For example, pulse, ripple, nexus. Whereas ChatGPT, what it's done is actually taken some of the words that we've mentioned. So you can already see that it's got here tweet sphere, it's got thread wave. So it's taken the actual words and then just added to it. So I'd probably say that initially Claude does a better job. Okay, let's try and have a look at what it does with slogans. So for this next prompt, we're going to say, provide me 5 slogans for creative campaign for new wireless earphones. And we're going to add the same to Sonnet. See what ChatGPT 4.0 has. Unleash the sound, embrace the freedom, feel the beat, cut the chords, tune in, drop out of wires, your sound your way, wirelessly liberate your music, elevate your life. In terms of Sonnet, we've got untangle your sound experience, freedom for your ears, whisper directly to your soul, pocket-sized concert, anytime, anywhere, cut the chord, amplify your word. I personally like ChatGPT 4.0's output better. I'd probably be able to work with some of these and change them around. I think the slogans from Sonnet really don't reflect the kind of message that you'd be able to put out there as a slogan. So again, you can see Claude did better with the first type, and now ChatGPT 4.0 does better with the second type. So I think with this element of brainstorming, I would definitely be using both to extract ideas. I would say though, from experience brainstorming with both Claude and ChatGPT 4.0 is that I feel that when you want shorter brainstorming ideas, Claude tends to do a lot better. When you want more elaborate, longer ideas, I usually find that ChatGPT 4.0 does a better job with it. So for the next category, we're going to be looking at how both models do data visualization. And I've attached the same file with a very simple data set. And I'm going to ask them both to create a line graph from the attached data. Okay, so let's look at the output of both ChatGPT 4 and Claude Sonnet. You can see that they've come back with very similar looking line graphs. Claude Sonnet has here at the top Olympic medals line graph, like ChatGPT 4.0's title, more Olympics gold and silver medals by country. And we've got the countries at the bottom as well, and we've got the same key for both. So what I'd say is that both produce very good data visualizations. What I do like about ChatGPT 4.0, and I think it would win this category just based on that, that you have an option here to download the line graph as a PNG file. So if I've downloaded it now, I can now come and open it and I can use it straight away. Now, the next area of comparison is going to be in terms of analyzing a graph or diagram. And I'm going to show you here a chart that I'd like them both to analyze. And let's see the level of analysis they both come back with. So I'm just going to start off by attaching the chart here in both. And I'm just going to say, analyze the attached chart and provide the main insights. Okay, so let's review the output produced by both models. So starting with ChatGPT 4.0, see that the approach it's taken is that it first looks at the general trends. So it gives us the second industrialization, the post-war boom, and underneath that, it tells us what's happening in the United States and Europe, which are the two main lines that we're examining in the chart, to specific observations for each country. And then it comes up with general notable periods for us to pay attention to, which is quite interesting. So it's quite comprehensive in the feedback. Now, if we look at Claude's summary, it also has some distinctive points that it starts off with. So the time span explains the time covered. It also gives us the measurement of both axes. So it gives us like an overview of what we're looking at. So that makes it easier. Now, with the data series, I think it's done a critical mistake here. So if you look, it's saying that there are multiple lines on the chart, each representing different historical periods or economic factors. And it says that the second industrialization is the black line. Now, if we look at the chart, we can see that there are two main lines here, and one that represents the US and the other represents Europe. So this section is completely wrong in terms of productivity waves. I think it's done a good job here of outlining the key areas. And we have a comparable part here from ChatGPT as well when it talks about notable periods. I like that it provides us with recent trends as well, gives us information in terms of the volatility and the impact of major events. So you can see there's a bit more reflection that's coming out of Claude. Overall, I would say, because of the mistake that we've seen in Sonnet, I might be a bit more reluctant. I definitely have to go back and review the work that it's produced. The approaches are very different. If I wanted a top level overview of what's going on, definitely start off with ChatGPT 4.0. If I'm looking to draw deeper conclusions and to understand some key relationships between the variables, then Claude is very useful. So this is again an example where you would benefit from using both ChatGPT 4.0 and Claude to obtain different types of information in your analysis. Okay, so for the next category of comparisons, we're going to be looking at creating images. So I'm just going to add a prompt here that says, create an image of a spaceship flying to the moon, write on its space adventure. And the same prompt, we're going to enter that in Claude. Okay, and you can see straight away that with ChatGPT, we have the ability to create images. The writing is accurate as well. This seems to be something coming out of the V, but overall it's accurate. But with Claude, we know that you can't create general static images. It doesn't have the ability to create, generate, edit, manipulate, or produce images. So here, in terms of image creation, ChatGPT 4.0 is the clear winner. So for the next part, we're going to be looking at the model's abilities to create interactive animated of a certain concept. So I'm just going to be writing here, create an animated interactive visual of starting a new business. And I'm going to put the same in Claude. Okay, so as you can see with ChatGPT, it doesn't have the ability to create an interactive animation. So it will just write down the key steps for us, as we have seen here. But with Claude, and I mentioned this in a previous video where I look at all the features of Claude, you can click on the link up here. It has an absolutely amazing ability to create interactive visuals like the one we can see here. So for example, this is starting a new business. We've got step 1, idea generation. And then if we click on next, it will take us to the market research and so on. And it's just given us a nice way to play around with different ideas, concepts, and present them in a different way. And you can do this with all kinds of ideas and concepts. So Claude is the clear-cut winner here if you want to create any animated visuals and interactive dashboards. So overall, we've seen that these are both amazing models to use. The best thing to do is to identify your purpose, and sometimes it's even better to combine both models to get the best output. So I hope you found this video useful, and I hope to see you in the next video.